في أكبر الكتب.
Tom Petty. A name that's synonymous with classic rock, timeless hits, and a laid-back vibe. Whether you know him as the frontman of the Heartbreakers or from his solo work, Petty's influence on music is undeniable. But today, we're diving deep with 11 mostly true facts about the man behind the music. Let's get into it. Fact number 1. Tom Petty was born in Gainesville, Florida, in 1950. He wasn't always destined for rock and roll glory, though. At first, he wanted to be an actor. But everything changed when he met a young Elvis Presley on a film set. That moment sealed the deal. Music was his future. Tom's love for music started with Elvis, but his taste was wide. He was into everything from the Beatles to the Byrds. It was the sound of those jangly guitars and catchy melodies that really lit a fire in him. And it wasn't long before he picked up a guitar himself. Fact number 3. The Heartbreakers. While many think of Tom Petty as a solo act, his band was just as iconic. Formed in 1976, the Heartbreakers were more than just backup musicians, they were a family. Petty once said, "The band is a reflection of me, but it's also its own thing." Fact 4. Petty's first big hit was Breakdown in 1976. The song didn't just put him on the map, it became one of his signature tracks. You know the one, the slow groove, Petty's raspy voice, and that unforgettable guitar riff. Fact 5. Petty had a run-in with the law. In 1985, he was arrested for assault after an altercation with a producer. The fight was about control over his music, and Petty was known for fiercely defending his artistic freedom. So, if you ever wondered why his music feels so raw and authentic, this is part of the reason why. Speaking of fighting for artistic control, Fact 6. Petty famously battled his record label over the release of his album Damn the Torpedoes. They wanted to cut the record, and Petty refused to back down. The album went on to be a huge success. Sometimes, a little rebellion pays off. Fact 7. Tom Petty was part of an all-star supergroup called the Traveling Wilburys. In the late 80s, he teamed up with Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Jeff Lynne, and Roy Orbison. It's one of rock's greatest collaborations, and those who heard the Wilburys' music know it was a magical blend of talents. Fact 8. Despite his fame, Petty never left his roots. He kept a house in Florida and embraced his Southern upbringing. That Southern charm and authenticity came through in every song, whether it was an anthem like Free Fallin' or a more somber ballad like I Won't Back Down. Fact 9. Petty became the voice of a generation. Songs like American Girl and Runnin' Down a Dream became anthems for anyone who wanted to break free or chase their dreams. Petty's music resonated because it spoke to that universal desire for independence and hope. Fact 10. Tom Petty was an unapologetic fan of classic rock. He was known to frequently talk about how much he admired bands like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. But, here's the twist, he also had a deep love for punk rock, and that influenced his sound too, especially on albums like Damn the Torpedoes and Full Moon Fever. And finally, Fact 11. Tom Petty's legacy continues to live on. He may have left us in 2017, but his music is as relevant as ever. His songs will forever be a soundtrack to our lives, whether we're cruising down the highway or reflecting on our past. Petty once said, "You belong among the wildflowers." And indeed, his spirit still lingers, wild and free. From humble beginnings to rock and roll royalty, Tom Petty's life and career were as legendary as the music he made. We hope these 11 mostly true facts have given you a glimpse into the man behind the music. Thanks for watching, and as Tom would say, don't back down.